Kyung's voice echoed throughout the place. Really, Wang-soo? This whole building is your company? He enthusiastically admitted, that's right. She looked around in disbelief. I can't believe my boyfriend is the representative of an entire company. Wang-soo replied, well, Kong Sung-hyun and I co-own it. She couldn't hide her astonishment. That's so cool. So, the company is associated with Kong Sung-hyun's name? I can't believe it. When did you set this up? He recalled and explained, a long time ago. Just like Jin Kyung said, because of Seyun Hyun's reputation, we couldn't be careless. It took quite a while, but thanks to it, both the staff and the system are in order. Some artists have already signed contracts and negotiations are ongoing. It's understandable that the company isn't new but has been operational for a while. So, the company isn't newly established but has already been operational, she asked. He responded, that's right. Wang-soo put his glass of water down and added, by the way, I have to mention something. We really admire Sura's talent, and I don't understand why an actress like her doesn't have a management company. Kyung's whole body trembled. Oh, you mean? He continued, yes, bringing Sura to our company is quite logical, don't you think? And Jin Kyung too. She was extremely happy, of course, but then she hesitated, but I'm a bit worried because Sura said she has bad memories about management companies. He didn't understand, what kind of bad memories? Kyung recalled, we received an offer from a pretty big company. At first, we were called to their office, and they seemed very trustworthy, so we were quite satisfied and believed them. But not long after that, only Sura was called to sign the contract, and the place was a bar. Wang-soo was furious, what? They came, and then? She continued, they tricked her into signing a contract under the guise of a partnership. Those damn scammers. Hearing this, he exploded, they're insane. What happened next? Well, she didn't sign and left without looking back. After that, we had to endure a lot because of those bastards. Wang-soo looked worried, she must have been psychologically scarred, right? Kyung replied gloomily, yes, at that time, we couldn't even mention those companies in front of Sura. Besides, it was hard for me because directors and sponsors would contact me because of her. He interrupted, but Jin Kyung. She looked up, yes? Wang-soo's tone became serious, if that's the case, then we should invite Sura to work for us, right? At Incheon International Airport, a girl called out loudly, hey, look over there. The group turned their heads in confusion. Isn't that a celebrity? Oh, right, that's the guy who recently married Ki Sung-mun's daughter, Kim Chongu. All eyes were on him, and hearts warmed at the sight. He looks just like a character from a movie. Such a sweet smile. He's greeting everyone, how genuine. The sound of a car door slamming shut echoed loudly. Kim Chongu, just entering the car, complained, my hand hurts so much. It's so hard just to get out of the airport. Miho glanced at him, tired? Chongu frowned, of course. Why do I have to travel from Busan to Seoul without a single day off? Miho replied, sorry, it's been a while, and she missed you a lot. You're newlyweds after all. Chongu asked suddenly, do you think Mi-young is doing this just to see me? Miho, puzzled, responded with a huh, while looking out the window. Chongu mumbled, if that's the case, why does she call me when she has plans with someone else? And she never comes to Busan. It's frustrating that a handsome actor like me wakes up shocked by her words. She just wants to show off to those around her how she treats me. Miho thought to himself, you're the one who got married to take advantage of her family. But even knowing that, he restrained himself from saying anything. Chongu, deep in thought, muttered, damn it, I have to return the same day. How do I get out of this? Suddenly, he leaned forward. Hey, didn't you postpone a TV drama last time? Miho, thinking that the filming schedule would coincide with his own, looked confused. Chongu's face brightened, call them and tell them I'll do it. Go get the script right now. Miho, alarmed, exclaimed, what? Right now? Chongu reiterated, yes, right now. Miho sighed deeply, all right, this damn job. He immediately made a phone call. Oh, hello. I am Kim Chongu's manager. Oh, yes. Is everything all right? Chongu chuckled to himself. Good. If the film production company suggests an emergency meeting, then I don't have to go to that damn place. That would also be a reasonable excuse for me. At that time, she will say that Chongu can't come because he has a filming schedule. Everyone will understand. Being a famous actor, indeed. You are extremely satisfied with this plan. After all, I am so smart. I will always check on you. You know what to do, right? Miho quickly replied, all right, I understand. By the way, what's the name of that movie? You explained further, because we have to say the same thing. He tried to remember, it could be. And at this moment, Sura was also holding a script for an audition. Is it a sophisticated dining table? Her phone suddenly received a notification. It was Senior Kong Se-Yun-Hien. Her face lit up with joy. She immediately answered the call, and a sweet conversation ensued between the two. Yes, Senior. What are you doing? Oh, I'm on my way. Where are you going? I'm going to the supermarket because there's nothing left in the fridge. This afternoon, I have an audition. On the audition day, if I just sit still, I'll get anxious, so I want to do something. Se-Yun-Hien laughed and remarked, that's unusual. Dujia and I have been dating for 10 days now. I'm still busy filming in Busan. It's a bit unfortunate that this feels like a long-distance relationship. Gradually, daily communication has become normal. Where is that supermarket? Hurry up. Well, there aren't many big supermarkets in my area, so I have to go a bit far. All right, goodbye. Good luck with your audition. She smiled brightly and replied, yes, Senior. You do your best too. As the two entered the supermarket, Kyung's troubles surfaced. What did you say to Kong Se-Yun-Hien? Sura recounted, well, just the things I've been doing lately. About the audition, she was surprised and asked why I talked about it. Sura wondered, yes, why did Kyung seem a bit unnatural? No. It could be her naive plan. Asked again? Kyung's plan? Changing the subject, let's plan to buy groceries, Sura. Confidently, she said, don't worry, I've written everything down. Tears welled up inside her. She promised Wang-Su she would talk to Sura about the company, but there was no chance. She would be worried while preparing for the audition. She blamed herself, I was too assertive then, telling her to believe in me. Waiting for the right moment. Just then, Kwang-Soo called Sura. Go check around first, I'll listen to the phone, then come back immediately. She happily agreed. Yes, I know, I'll head to the electronics section first, you can hang up then. After that, Sura went upstairs. Her attention collided with something, the image of Sung-Hien. She couldn't take her eyes off it, even though she had gradually become accustomed to it. Each time she saw it, she couldn't believe it was her boyfriend. A familiar voice slipped into her ears, but the real person must be much more handsome. She made a startled sound and curiously turned her head to look. Someone was covered up right behind her, slowly removing their mask. It was indeed Se-Yun-Hien. He asked, is it right? The screen idol suddenly stepped forward from the darkened area, causing Sura to freeze for a few seconds. Her brain hadn't loaded information temporarily, until he called her name and she snapped out of it, realizing it was the real person in front of her, not a hallucination. Se-Yun-Hien, dressed in all-black attire, resembled a secret agent, with a cap and glasses, all to avoid being recognized by others. When Sura saw that it was him, she was extremely shocked and quickly exclaimed, surprised, why are you here? In fact, Se-Yun-Hien was here to check the entertainment company's sign before leaving. He had been instructed that the entertainment company Jin Kyung mentioned would speak to Sura first, so he wouldn't be able to say anything to her beforehand. Faced with Sura's bewildered and stunned expression, he casually replied, I have urgent business in Seoul. Sura, blushing and flustered, said, yes, then, just like last time in the cafe. Are you also planning with Jin Kyung this time? Se-Yun-Hien used his unparalleled acting skills and replied, no, this time Jin Kyung doesn't know either. I intentionally didn't say anything because I have to return to Busan immediately. But at that time, I was quite close to H supermarket. Seeing the awkward and groundless behavior of the two in such a crowded supermarket wasn't okay, so Sura hurriedly tried to find a way to lead her boyfriend away. Alright, let's leave here first. If someone sees you, what excuse will you use? On the contrary, Se-Yun-hien remained confident and bright, using the excuse that he had already covered his face, so no one would recognize him. But deep down, Sura thought that even if he stood still, he stood out, so he couldn't hide. She brushed off his presence and looked around, wanting to see if anyone noticed and recognized Se-Yun-hien. At that moment, Sura was like a possessive lover, afraid of losing her partner, fearing that he might be taken away in just a second. Se-Yun-hien immediately spoke to capture her attention. It's been a while since we last met, you don't seem very happy. As he spoke, Se-Yun-hien bowed his head, pretending to be sad like a child who had been abandoned, and then pouted. This seemingly simple psychological trick hit Sura hard, like a hammer to a sparrow's head. She froze, stiff and awkward, not knowing what to do, feeling as if she was the one at fault. Embarrassed, Sura said, "No, of course, I want to see you too. But please don't, where are you going?" She hurriedly ran after him, thinking he was leaving in a huff and not wanting to talk anymore. It turned out that while Sura was still dazed, he had grabbed the shopping cart and her list of items to buy today. He gently reminded her, "There's a lot to buy. We need to hurry. Come on over." The image of her boyfriend being both attractive and considerate, not hesitating to go shopping with her, made Sura blush, losing control and wanting to throw all her dignity away. The two of them strolled through the supermarket like a normal couple. Walking beside him, Sura kept worrying and asking repeatedly, "Are you sure this is okay?" Meanwhile, Se-Yun-hien, acting carefree, gently said, "If you keep worrying like that, it'll be obvious. Just be natural." Sura, feeling a bit shy, said, "I didn't know you were this enthusiastic." At that moment, Se-Yun-hien was following the instructions on the note to find Pazik peppers, but he accidentally grabbed a bag of green bell peppers instead. Sura had to remind him that those were bell peppers, and he finally realized it. Sura didn't miss the chance to tease him. Someone who cooks for himself can't even tell the difference between bell peppers and Pazik peppers. Se-Yun-hien, unfazed, quietly replied, "Usually, ingredients are delivered to my house. This is the first time I've gone shopping like this." His response was somewhat unexpected to Sura, and she watched his curious demeanor more closely. So this is why he's as excited as a child seeing toys for the first time. Senior must have been living a very different life from mine for a long time. Thinking about it now, I can't tell him to leave. That way, no one will recognize us. With that thought, she joined him in reaching for a bag of ingredients placed on the highest shelf. His gentle care made Sura feel incredibly warm inside, as if they were a newlywed couple shopping together. Sura thought to herself that everything was just beginning. Then, when she found a bottle of water, she happily ran out to show it to Se-Yun-hien. "Senior, have you tried this? It's really good." But when she turned around, he had disappeared without a trace. She couldn't believe that she had to look for a lost child at his age, so she ran around the aisles searching for her boyfriend, wondering where he could have gone. When she directed her attention towards the checkout counter, she saw a figure in an all-black outfit that could only belong to Se-Yun-hien. There was no mistaking it. At this moment, he was casually standing there sampling food at a small shop. Seeing this scene made Sura's inner self scream. Se-Yun-hien was standing there, fully exposed without even wearing a mask. Across the way, the shop assistant was staring at him with a scrutinizing look, though it was unclear if she had recognized his familiar face. It was evident that the shop assistant had noticed something. Sura dashed over at lightning speed, wishing she could drag him straight into a hole to avoid being noticed. She hurriedly grabbed his hand, her face panicked, and asked, "Senior, what are you doing?" The clueless Se-Yun-hien cheerfully offered her some skewered meat from the sample stand. "Sura, try this. It's really good." Sura had to scold him. The issue isn't whether it's good or not, it's... Just then, the shop assistant looked directly into Se-Yun-hien's eyes and called out, "Young man." This made Sura's face turn pale with fear, bracing herself for the worst. The shop assistant continued, "I've been thinking for a while, aren't you an actor? I saw you on TV." At that moment, Sura froze on the spot, thinking this was a disaster. She shouldn't have brought the star to the supermarket. Contrary to Sura's rising panic, the one causing all the trouble remained completely unfazed. He gave a smile that couldn't be more fake and said, "Thank you. Many people say I look like an actor. The meat is delicious. Wish you good business." Then, Se-Hyun skillfully pushed Sura away under the astonished and questioning gaze of the shop assistant. Meanwhile, the shop assistant didn't suspect a thing and even praised that both of them looked like actors. Sura and Sung-Hyun successfully escaped that situation. Curiously, she tugged at his sleeve and demanded, "Was that good acting or are you just a good liar?" Under her judgmental gaze, Sung nonchalantly replied, "Let's see, probably both." His half-smile, full of mystery and deadly charm, made Sura freeze on the spot again, her mind full of ellipses. It wasn't until Sung-Hyun called out, "What are you doing? Come here," that she snapped out of it, realizing she might stand there like a statue all day. As her senses returned, Sura felt her blood boiling with frustration, unable to do anything but think, "Can I really handle this guy?" At the same time, Kim Chongu quickly arrived to meet the TV drama producer to pick up the script. The director warmly welcomed him and offered drinks to both of them. "I thought only the manager would come to get the script, but you came as well," Chongu politely replied. "I'm sorry for the sudden visit, director." "No, you are always welcome," the director said regretfully, "but what to do now? I wanted to treat you to a nice meal, but there's an audition tonight." Chongu, realizing that his genius plan was at risk of falling apart, hesitated. "An audition? Then the plan is ruined." The director continued, mentioning that the role of Mark, who often works with Chongu, would also be auditioning. At that moment, he had an idea and said to the director, "Director, I'm sorry, but could I be a judge for the auditions? If someone who often works with me is auditioning, I think it would be better for me to personally assess them." Unexpectedly, the director was very pleased with his suggestion. "We would be very grateful, Chongu. If you have the time, please do." "Really? That's great. I hope I didn't say anything inappropriate." As the director was about to step outside, she added, "Not at all, we are truly grateful if an actor like you can be there. Please wait a moment." When Chongu politely thanked her, she had already gone outside and closed the door. The manager, noticing no movement from Chongu, curiously called out, "Chongu, you're acting cool again." He responded, "Did you hear that? Turn it into an opportunity. In the end, being a judge sounds more reasonable than attending a meeting, right?" After a day of shopping, Sura arrived at Se-Hyun's car parked in the basement. Before opening the trunk to store the items, he asked her if she had bought everything she needed and if there was anything else she wanted. She quickly waved her hand, saying, "No, that's all." In reality, they had bought so many items, and Se-Hyun had paid for everything, making her feel a bit guilty. Se-Hyun nonchalantly held up a tiny carton of milk and said, "It's okay, you bought this for me." Sura, looking at the cheap milk carton, pouted and said, "With the amount you paid, I could buy 100 of these for you." Se-Hyun, on the other hand, showed a very happy expression and said, "I prefer this over 100 other cartons." Sura shyly looked at him, her cheeks blushing without her realizing, making her look very cute. They might have continued exchanging glances for a long time if not for the appearance of the intruder, Jin Kyung. Out of nowhere, Jin Kyung cheerfully said, "Sura, I've been waiting for you." And Se-Hyun, "Long time no see." Sura joyfully ran out, and the two sisters greeted each other warmly after being apart for a few minutes. Se-Hyun also greeted, "Sister Jin Kyung, long time no see. Have you seen Wang-Soo?" Jin Kyung quickly responded, "Yes, Wang-Soo has gone straight to the parking lot." Se-Hyun then said, "Well, I have to go." Despite that, he gently smiled at her and said, "Good luck with the audition, don't be nervous." Sura, feeling incredibly happy, replied to his blessing and expectation, "Yes, senior, safe travels to Busan." The two waved goodbye to each other there. Sura thought to herself that she was very surprised to see her senior suddenly appear. As a result, it seems like she has gained some energy before the audition. She had practiced enough to be satisfied. After the shopping trip in the supermarket, it was time to start auditioning for the upcoming TV series. Sura's turn had also arrived. She politely greeted before stepping into the audition room. Jin Kyung sat waiting in the adjacent seat, eagerly flashing a wink to wish Sura good luck. Sura's mood was extremely good, filled with confidence. She responded to her sister in a way that made her feel like this time would go smoothly. Standing before the judging panel, Sura remained lively as she greeted, "Hello, I'm Wang Sura, number 47. I have prepared the role of Min among the characters you've provided, and I'm very much looking forward to everyone's assistance." She smiled brightly, looking at the faces of the judges, brimming with confidence. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, until Chongu appeared in the judging seats. Sura, taken aback, froze in place, then felt a sudden heat rise to her cheeks as her smile vanished instantly. Chongu, oblivious, waved to her, probably thinking he was being friendly like a beauty queen. His unexpected presence shattered Sura's confidence and preparation in an instant. She silently thought, "Why is that man here?" The director of the film production company also took notice of the awkward glances between the two and the peculiar atmosphere. She then smiled casually and said, "Wang Sura is also a fan of Chongu, isn't she? Many contestants seem surprised to see Chongu here. Perhaps he's become quite popular lately?" Sura felt no discomfort greater than this, wanting only to quickly make the other person permanently vanish from her life. However, Chongu swiftly interjected, explaining to the production director that Sura had recently co-starred with him in a film, then glanced at Sura with eyes more sunken than protruding, saying, "Yes, she's a great actress so far. I'm really looking forward to her performance today." The director also smiled brightly and remarked, "Indeed, we're all looking forward to her performance, aren't we?" Their mocking laughter directly raised Sura's blood pressure, making her want to soar even higher. Looking at his contemptuous face, Sura couldn't help but silently curse this despicable person. The resentment peaked, but because of her integrity, she couldn't just rush over and knock the guy down. Sura clenched her fists tightly, silently wondering why that person suddenly appeared here. Meeting in Busan as lead and supporting actors and now as judge and contestant? Meaning, Kim Cheong-gu would assess her acting abilities in this unfair situation? Despite not wanting to, Sura could only accept it in this unjust situation. The director held up the script and asked, "Are you ready, Sura?" Perhaps at this moment, Sura wished the audition were for an action movie so she could ask permission to throw rocks at the judges' faces. She couldn't contain the feeling of disgust at the thought of having to perform in front of this despicable person. She hated to admit that she was trembling, but there was no other choice. This was why she hated to ruin the audition she had prepared for so meticulously. Sura quickly regained her composure and smiled at the judges, signaling that she was ready to begin. At the same time, Jin Kyung, waiting outside the hall, was feeling anxious, wondering why Sura hadn't come out yet. Just as she finished her thoughts, Sura emerged from the room with a bored expression. Jin Kyung rushed over, draping her arm over Sura's shoulder, and asked eagerly about how the audition went. "Why did it take so long? How did it go?" Sura replied, "Apart from what I prepared, the judges also asked me a couple of improvisational questions." Jin Kyung's eyes lit up like headlights. Improvisational questions? Why do you think they liked them so much? Contrary to Jin Kyung's enthusiastic anticipation, Sura wore a gloomy expression as if she was about to have a breakdown. "Well, if I get the part, that would be great," she said in a tone full of dismay. Jin Kyung found her attitude strange. "But why do you look so unhappy? You look like you messed up the audition," Jin Kyung remarked. Sura hesitated, not wanting to bring up the issue. "There was a piece of trash sitting in there, sis," she said helplessly, scratching her head. Jin Kyung suddenly paused, not understanding what Sura meant. "Explain more clearly, who are you calling trash?" Jin Kyung stood still for a few seconds, then shouted, looking utterly shocked. Seeing her friend's reaction, Sura guessed that Jin Kyung had finally understood the situation. "Why is that person here?" Jin Kyung asked, wide-eyed. Sura, equally distressed, replied, "I don't know either. It seems like he's a judge. But of course, they wouldn't invite someone unrelated to participate. It seems like the male lead is Kim Chongu, sis. The worst-case scenario has hit us, and it's even more certain than winning the lottery." Sura lamented. Jin Kyung fell into a panic, shouting loudly, "What kind of terrible situation is this? This is unacceptable. At that moment, Sura heard someone calling her from behind. It turned out to be Miho, standing just a few steps away. Sura was extremely surprised to see him there. Miho greeted the two of them, long time no see. Back in Busan, I couldn't say hello because the situation wasn't great. How are you now? Seeing Miho's eyes focused on Sura and hearing his affectionate words, Jin Kyung felt uncomfortable and coldly responded, thanks to someone. Miho looked confused, seemingly realizing he was making things difficult. He bowed slightly and said, sorry for bringing it up late, but I'm very sorry about Chongu. Jin Kyung seized the opportunity to retort sarcastically, oh? Now you're making excuses? I don't want to hear it. Can we go now? Seeing the tension rise, Miho quickly waved his hands to explain, no, that's not it. Chongu wants to talk to Sura for a bit. Could she spare some time for him? This left both Jin Kyung and Sura astonished, their eyes wide with surprise. Jin Kyung was quite annoyed, ready to pounce on Miho to vent her anger. However, Sura finally spoke up, her voice full of coldness and contempt for the person waiting for her. Jin Kyung was extremely worried when she saw Sura agree to sit with that trash once again. Miho revealed that Chongu was waiting in the underground parking lot. Despite Jin Kyung's continuous attempts to dissuade and advise, saying they didn't need to follow such an unreasonable request, Sura made her decision. She said, anyway, if there's nothing else, he won't bother me anymore. I don't want to see that guy's face again. Sura's determined gaze left Jin Kyung a bit astonished. She realized that no matter what she said now, she wouldn't be able to change her younger sister's mind. Even so, when following Sura down to the parking garage, Jin Kyung kept giving all sorts of instructions as if her little sister was about to go to war. Sura, remember, if anything strange happens, I'll jump in immediately. Sura laughed to reassure her, okay, don't worry. I'll be done soon. Then both Miho and Jin Kyung waited while Sura went into the battlefield alone. At this moment, Miho turned to say something to Jin Kyung but was quickly interrupted by her. Choi Miho, if you're going to make excuses, don't bother. You must know that Chongu is a bad guy, right? Even though we dated because of knowing Chongu, Sura was also very good to you. Why did you stay silent? Do you know how terrible you are? In response to Jin Kyung's accusations, Miho just looked down tensely. Finally, he let out a sigh, maybe now, whatever I say will sound like an excuse. Jin Kyung, without any hesitation, retorted, that's right. Miho, timidly, said, as you said, I know Chongu is a bad guy. Hearing this, Sura immediately snapped, and you didn't tell me? Miho also raised his voice to defend himself, that's why from the beginning I didn't want to involve you. Because I thought we would break up just like the others I've been with. As he spoke, Miho suddenly became tense and decided not to continue. He remembered that when he saw Sura with Chongu, he had thought that love had truly changed that despicable guy because Chongu seemed genuinely devoted to Sura. Jin Kyung, with a cold expression, said, that's because you misunderstood and fell for that bastard's acting. Now, what's the issue? Can you explain why Chongu is doing this? I'm really angry, so don't say anything more. Miho, now regretting his past mistakes, couldn't say anything further. He thought to himself, Jin Kyung is right. I knew what kind of person Chongu was, a scoundrel who only knows how to deceive and exploit others. But were his actions with Sura all fake too? Actually, only men can truly bring happiness to each other. Miho had been right in recognizing that Chongu did have genuine feelings for Sura, but with a wretched man like him, love couldn't compare to money. And at that moment, Chongu appeared before Sura with an unbearably smug look on his face. Wang Sura, I would have been very disappointed if you hadn't shown up. Thank you for coming. Sura slowly walked over and sat next to him, trying to suppress the nauseating feeling brought on by this deceitful man. She couldn't imagine sharing the same air with this piece of trash for long, so she got straight to the point. Why did you call me here? Say it quickly. Chongu, true to form, didn't disappoint her with his narcissism. I heard the role you tried out for is Mion, the girl who secretly likes the male lead, right? Sura's face remained cold as she responded, so what? Chongu started to make his move. The judges seemed quite pleased with you then. It's possible we might end up acting together. Wouldn't it be better if we kept calm before that happens? Sura looked at her ex-boyfriend with the same disdain she would show an aunt. She knew very well that the lead role would ultimately go to Kim Chongu. She gave a small, contemptuous smile and said, "Thanks a lot, but so what? Maybe you're just not good enough. If it were someone else, it wouldn't be hard to get along." These simple words successfully struck at Chongu's arrogance, leaving him feeling humiliated, especially because of the evaluative and pitying look in Sura's eyes that shocked him deeply. "What? Someone else?" he exclaimed. "What did you just say?" Sura leisurely mocked him. "Everyone already knows. But what's new with you?" Chongu, who initially appeared calm, started grinding his teeth in anger. He had called her here likely hoping to see her despair, to have her plead with him. But he didn't expect Sura to no longer be the naive girl he had dated for 8 months without receiving a single kiss. Finally, he dropped his facade and revealed his true nature as a thug. "Wang Sura, it seems you don't understand the situation. One word from me can decide whether you get that role or not." Despite his threats, Sura remained utterly unperturbed. She didn't care about his bluster. To her, he was just a deluded power tripper running his mouth. Chongu hissed, "You have to satisfy me, understand?" Contrary to his hopes, his ex-girlfriend replied indifferently, "If the outcome of the audition can be overturned so easily, then I won't take the role." This was clearly a role that Sura had put in a lot of effort and preparation for, yet now she was willing to give up the opportunity so easily. The male star sitting across from her couldn't believe her response. Sura looked Chongu straight in the eyes and brought him down. "I'm different from you, someone who does dirty things to get to this position." Chongu went from stunned to bewildered, then burst into maniacal laughter. His eyes suddenly darkened, a shadow cast by Sura's provocation. "Wang Sura, stop it. If you're regretting it, don't be ashamed. Do you think you're special? You're not. Stop deluding yourself and live in reality. Your face is ordinary, your talent is unremarkable. People like you, without money, are useless, you know. Pretending to be independent gets you nowhere." He continued to insult her. 7 years wasted, don't you see? People like you, who want to survive in this industry, have no choice but to please those with money. In the stuffy underground parking lot, sitting amidst a pile of garbage made Sura nearly unable to bear the stench emanating from him. But the petty Chongu persisted in manipulating his outdated psychological tactics. He kept droning on with his dull remarks. However, contrary to his anticipation, Sura countered with a scornful expression, remarking, "What an interesting self-introduction, Kim Chongu." Caught off guard, he snapped out of his reverie, forgetting what he had been prattling on about. "What?" he blurted. Sura calmly responded, "You're right. I may not have money or connections, but I'm not so morally bankrupt as you. I've lived this way my whole life, and I'd rather die than live like you, you scum." Chongu was stunned by the sharp rebuke. Memories long suppressed suddenly resurfaced in his mind, memories of a wretched childhood he never wanted to recall. Sura declared, "Even if I die, I don't want to live like garbage." Embarrassed and enraged, he swung his hand and slapped Sura across the face, a sharp sound ringing out unexpectedly. Upon realizing his loss of control and the blow he had struck, he hesitated to apologize, but before he could, Sura retaliated. She laughed and said, "You've done what you wanted, haven't you?" Her cheek flushed from the painful slap, but her eyes showed no hint of fear. "I've had enough reasons, but thanks to you, now I'm sure." With that, as quick as lightning, Sura delivered a double-handed slap to her beloved ex-boyfriend. Then, she reached over to open the car door, exasperatedly bidding farewell, "Please, don't let me see your face again. I have my limits too." With a sense of satisfaction, she left the car to the welcoming embrace of Jin Kyung. Jin Kyung rushed over, concerned, asking if Sura was all right. Minho followed closely behind. Suddenly, Jin Kyung's expression turned pale when she saw her dear sister's swollen cheek. "What happened to your face, Sura?" she exclaimed. Sura turned away, hiding the bruise, and reassured her that she was fine. But Jin Kyung, being incredibly strong-willed, interrogated her fiercely, as if ready to engage in a brawl with that scoundrel right then and there. What happened? What did Kim Cheong-gu do to you? Her anger surged, and she prepared to roll up her sleeves, ready for a fight. That bastard, I'll break his bones. Sura hurriedly intervened, pulling her back to prevent a scene. Hold on, sis. I don't want to stay here another minute. Let's go home, she pleaded, her eyes pleading with Jin Kyung. Eventually, Jin Kyung began to hesitate, and they left together. In the car, Cheong-gu sat alone, deeply shocked by the heated argument with his ex-girlfriend. He couldn't believe her sudden, strong reaction. Chongu suddenly recalled the days of his childhood living with a father who brutally abused his mother. I never thought I'd become the kind of scum who could raise a hand against a woman, no matter what she said. But now, I've become him, Kim Cheong-gu, he thought angrily as he clenched his fists. He collapsed, overwhelmed by regret and loneliness, trembling with fear. He couldn't understand what he had done to her. A furious curse echoed through Sura's room. Oh my God, how could I not be angry? How could that guy hit a woman? He's an actor, he should know how important a face is for an actor, right? Seeing Jin Kyung constantly lamenting, Sura tried to comfort her older sister. Come on, sis, I slapped him back, didn't I? But it seems like that's not enough for Kyung. Fool, just one slap is enough, isn't it? Boys and girls are not equal. You know he's scum, but I didn't expect him to be this terrible. Damn it! You should have dragged him to the police station. You must be so upset. In a miraculous way, the one who needed comforting ended up comforting the other. Hey, stop it, sis. I'm sorry. Don't cry. Because she felt unfair to her sister, why should she play ordinary roles while having such skills? It's not just an audition, if you had support, you wouldn't have to face such unfair and miserable situations. Of course, the most cursed name is Kim Chongu, but she is also angry with herself for not turning her into a star and letting her endure these things. Jin Kyung's words deeply touched Sura, and she hurriedly replied, What are you saying? It's because I haven't earned much money yet. How could you be? You've motivated me. No, Sura, you wouldn't be useful if it were just talent. Sura, register with a talent management company. Surprised, Sura asked, What are you saying? Calm down. I mean it. I feel sorry for the talent of actor Wang Sura alone. Sister. Sura doesn't know how to comfort her close manager anymore. Hearing Jin Kyung's words, Sura thinks, clearly, I have never felt the need to find a management company, especially after the audition, when overwhelmed by actors belonging to big entertainment companies. When asked by reporters about the management company, I wanted to be treated fairly because I didn't want privileges. In fact, I have tried to sign contracts many times. In Sura's mind, suddenly there appear images of unpleasant memories, making her feel uneasy and tightly clench her fists. Jin Kyung reaches out and gently holds Sura's hand, saying softly, Sura, I know what you're thinking. I know having a company can feel restrictive, but right now I want to take you to a reputable place. Hearing this, Sura is slightly surprised. Why? Just go get stamped. Jin Kyung says firmly. And they set off. Wang Sura appears with a face full of anxiety, contrasting with Jin Kyung's demeanor, which resembles that of a female CEO. Worriedly, Sura asks, Sister, is my face okay? Is my cheek swollen? I feel a bit insecure asking Kyung. And the answer is, no, it's fine. Let's just go sign the contract, boss. Seeing Kyung's attire and demeanor makes Sura suspicious. What's the topic today? Can you introduce me to the audition invitation? Oh my, I wish it were true. On the way, unable to contain her curiosity, Sura asks Kyung, when, where? Why? Sura starts to smell something suspicious around here, you know everything when you go. Hearing the kind response of her good older sister makes Sura can't help but secretly feel suspicious, while she still doubts, both have arrived at the destination. Sura looks towards the entertainment company she is about to sign a contract with through the car window and is somewhat surprised. MK Entertainment? Hello. I have an appointment with the representative at 10 o'clock, Kyung says to the receptionist. Oh, Wang Sura, right? Going up to the 5th floor, there will be a representative room. While Jin Kyung is working with the receptionist, Sura also takes the opportunity to look around. Unable to wait to figure it out, Kyung calls her to move forward. Even in the elevator, this place is designed very professionally. Not knowing what this place is, everything seems fine. I have never heard of such a big company, Sura thinks to herself. Sister, is this a new company? Sura finally couldn't hide her curiosity and asked, but Kyung only gave a vague answer, you'll find out soon. But how are you sure it's trustworthy? Sura asked. The representatives here are very reputable. Hearing Jin Kyung's review made Sura even more curious. Who are they? You'll know when you meet them. Kyung gently knocked on the door in front of her, and a voice from inside called out, yes, come in. The door slowly opened, giving Sura a clearer view of the person inside the room. Upon hearing the voice from inside, she recognized someone familiar. After stepping inside, Kyung immediately greeted the man who had his back to the two of them. When the man turned around, the light from outside illuminated him, making him seem like he was radiating a divine glow. Sura gasped and exclaimed, isn't that Senior Se-Yun-Hyeon? Se-Yun-Hyeon looked at Jin Kyung and said, come on, Sister Jin Kyung is here too. Kyung smiled warmly and greeted him while Sura stood rooted to the spot, stammering, but why is Senior here? Se-Yun-Hyeon calmly pointed to himself and introduced, that's right, I'm the representative of MK. Sura was overwhelmed by the series of surprises, and her mind couldn't process the situation quickly enough. At that moment, Wang-Soo suddenly appeared, playfully exclaiming, surprise! He introduced himself, and I'm the co-director, Wang-Soo. Sura was so shocked she almost fainted, repeatedly asking, is it really you, Wang-Soo? Wang-Soo, feeling a bit shy, admitted, I'm still not used to this image. Initially, Wang-Soo's charming and adorable demeanor had changed dramatically with his new, slicked-back hairstyle, making him look much more authoritative. Sura couldn't believe her eyes and kept rubbing them to stay awake. Sura was in a state of overload, temporarily shutting down as everything happened too quickly. She thought, wait a minute, what's going on here? She suddenly realized that she wasn't the type to discuss her personal matters before her seniors asked, especially when it related to work. Se-Yun-Hyeon, who had recently appeared in the market as a free agent after his contract with his previous company expired, had been someone she had read about in entertainment news, knowing that many companies were eager to sign him. Sura finally snapped and questioned Jin Kyung, why did you keep this a secret? Why did you avoid the reporter's eyes? Why didn't you tell me anything? Jin Kyung clumsily tried to explain to calm Sura down. It's been a while since I've seen Se-Yun-Hyeon. It's not a secret, I just didn't say anything. It just happened to be at this moment. He didn't want to create a fuss while renewing his contract, so he tried to handle everything as quietly as possible. She turned and took the contract from her associate's hands, saying, renewing a contract without making a fuss with the old company isn't always easy. Se-Yun-Hyeon placed the contract in front of Sura and said, please read it. As she looked at the management contract with its clear terms laid out before her, feelings of unease began to rise within Sura. The hidden schemes and calculations behind the facade of management contracts haunted her. Adding to her anxiety were the words of Chongu, people like you can only survive in this industry by leeching off others. Sura suddenly snapped back to reality, shaking her head to dispel her worries. She reassured herself, what am I thinking? I know there's a big difference between that jerk Kim Cheong-gu and a legitimate contract. Despite this, her body couldn't stop trembling. Beyond her anxious thoughts, she couldn't overcome the fear that gripped her. Under the expectant gazes of everyone around her, Sura hesitated and asked, am I being offered this because I'm the girlfriend of the director? This strange question made Jin Kyung worried. Sura, what do you mean by that? At this moment, Se-Yun-Hyeon spoke up, dispelling all her doubts. No, as a manager, I believe you deserve to be invested in. I'm offering you this contract because you are actress Wang Sura. Sura was incredibly touched by his words, but she still harbored some insecurities about her past and feared she wasn't worthy of his sincerity. She bowed her head slightly and responded, deserving of investment? Do you know why I've been here for 7 years? I know the entertainment industry is tough to navigate, but I don't want to depend on someone else's feelings. If you're helping me with your heart, I'm afraid it might harm you. Sura's honest but tactless words directly left Jin Kyung and Wang-soo at a loss. Se-Yun Hyun thought for a moment and then sighed softly. Because we love each other, that's why I'm giving you this contract. It seems like you agree with it. Unexpectedly, the situation, which had been cheerful just moments ago, now descended into a deadlock. One side dared to ask bluntly, and the other dared to admit it. Jin Kyung and Wang-soo were left pale and speechless in the face of the couple's naive honesty. Jin Kyung, tense and uncertain, didn't dare to speak further. Looking over, she saw Wang-soo gesturing wildly, indicating that they should leave to let the main couple resolve their issues. Jin Kyung raised her hand in agreement, and Wang-soo immediately stood up, wearing an incredibly fake smile as he made an excuse to leave and date Jin Kyung, killing two birds with one stone. He said, Jin Kyung, let's go to a private room and talk for a bit. Jin Kyung, knowing how to play along, responded, sure, Sura, call me when you're done discussing. With that, the two quickly vanished like a gust of wind, leaving Sura and Se-Yun Hyun in an indescribable atmosphere. He sighed softly and, using his usual psychological tactics, he inched closer to his girlfriend and said, I understand what you're worried about, but I met you as an actress before we became a couple. I saw the qualities of a good actress in you before I started thinking of you as my girlfriend. I'm not claiming to have the best eye for talent, but I don't think I'm wrong. Do you trust me? Sura still seemed troubled by the differences between them. She lowered her head slightly and said, it's not that, I understand your sincerity. But honestly, I wouldn't have gotten such a good opportunity if it weren't for your help during the music video shoot. If I join a management company, I'm afraid I won't be able to do anything without you. I'm really worried. When Sura expressed all her worries, Sung Hyun sprang up as if to say something. However, the words that had reached his lips were swallowed back. I understand your concerns, but I don't want to help you just for the sake of it. You deserve much more than that, he said, causing Sura to pause. As the director of the company, I need an actress like Wang Sura. To put it plainly, I want to leverage your talent to benefit the company. It would be a great loss for the company to miss out on an actress worthy of investment. Don't rush, think it over carefully before making a final decision. That day, Sura didn't sign the contract with Se-Yun Hyun's company, despite it being an incredibly valuable opportunity. Even on the way back, Sura remained lost in thought, pondering her decision. Jin Kyung noticed that her sister wasn't ready to share what had happened, so she focused on driving without asking any questions. Suddenly, Sura spoke up, Sister, I'm sorry. Jin Kyung, surprised, glanced back and asked why. Sura explained, this involves your future too, but because of me, it might be ruined. Jin Kyung simply responded with an oh, not too surprised. Honestly, I was a bit embarrassed when you asked if being his girlfriend was the reason for the contract. Sura blushed deeply, embarrassed by Jin Kyung's teasing. Jin Kyung, in these crucial moments, there's no joking around, and I revert to my true self as an older sister to comfort my silly little sister. Sura, I'm not an irresponsible manager. I believe you will be a successful actress. You don't have to apologize because I'm always by your side. After considering my own pleasures, seeing you endure like this makes me want to cry. But if you don't like that company, you can go back to how things were before. It's up to you. The empathy and understanding of her closest sister helped Sura feel much warmer. She decided to tell Jin Kyung if she could stay in front of the parking lot for a while to think before going inside. She looked up at the tree branches bathed in the gentle golden sunlight of the afternoon. Sura sat on a bench, lost in thought with a tumult of ideas in her head. The opportunity that arose today would not come again. For her own benefit, Jin Kyung had given up her own future. A senior treated her as if proposing a contract, though it was fortunate that the senior did not act on emotions. She didn't believe she would get this contract if she weren't his lover. Sura kept gazing at the horizon as it transitioned into night, thinking that over the years, she had missed many opportunities. But during those moments of reflection, she wondered if she was truly incapable of rising above it all.